You know that feeling when you get so mad about something really, really small that you think about doing something completely wild? Well, today's story is about someone who actually did it. This is a tale about spite, about what a country even is, and how one person technically bought their own. I am not making this up. That is the actual opening line from the story we're diving into, and honestly, it sets the stage perfectly. We're talking about a full-on declaration of war, all because of a travel refund. 30 pounds. That's it. That is the tiny, tiny spark that kicked this whole thing off. It's a little bit of frustration that ended up lighting a massive country founding fire. It's just wild. So let's get into it. This whole adventure had nothing to do with politics or big ideas. Nope. It all started with a simple, everyday argument that just spiraled into this unbelievably ambitious plan for revenge. We've all been there, right? You're arguing with customer service, you feel completely powerless. But instead of just firing off an angry tweet, our protagonists here decided to channel that frustration into something bigger. They started to explore the very definition of what makes a country a country. And this is where things get really interesting, because that anger didn't just disappear. It got focused into some serious research. This wasn't a joke anymore. It became this deep dive, a real rabbit hole of international law and the very strange world of unrecognized states. So the first big discovery was this incredible legal concept, Terra Nullius. It's Latin for nobody's land, and it's this idea that there might just be these little cracks in the map, tiny little pockets of the world that don't technically belong to anyone. And that, right there, was the loophole. If you could find a place like that, could you claim it? And that idea led straight to the bizarre, fascinating world of micronations. These are basically DIY countries. People declare them on everything from old sea forts to their own backyards. They've got flags, they've got passports, they've got rulers, even if absolutely no one else on Earth recognizes them as real. So after all that research, a plan started to form. And on the surface, it looks kind of simple, right? Step 1, find your patch of land that nobody owns. Step 2, plant a flag and declare you're in charge. And step 3, well, getting other countries to actually agree with you is apparently optional. But, theory is one thing. To really figure out how to run a country, even a tiny one, you gotta see how it's done in the real world. So it was time for a little field trip to learn from the pros. And the destination for this masterclass in nation building? The Principality of Seborga. It's this beautiful little village in Italy that's been claiming independence since the 1960s, all based on some really old historical documents. It was the perfect case study. And get this, inside Seborga, our protagonist actually met its leader, a princess, and got to see a working micronation up close. They have their own money, the Luigino, their own little government, the whole shebang. It has all the pieces of a real country, even if, the UN isn't exactly picking up the phone. Okay, so the research is done, the field trip's over. Armed with all this knowledge, it was finally time for the main event, to acquire a new nation born entirely out of spite. And the crazy thing is, it actually happened. Through some really clever negotiating, a document was signed. A piece of paper that technically granted our protagonist a title to their very own piece of land. So, on paper anyway, mission accomplished. A sovereign state was officially born. So you've done it. You have the title, you have the land, you're the head of state. Awesome. But what can you actually do with it? Does any of this new sovereign status actually mean anything in the real world? Well, it was time to find out. Now, the goal here wasn't exactly, building an army or getting a seat at the UN. The ambitions were a little more modest. The idea was to use this newfound diplomatic status to solve some of those minor, everyday problems that just drive you crazy. And here we have the absolutely hilarious result. The grand dream of diplomatic immunity boiled down to trying to skip a line. The privileges of a head of state were used to try and avoid a small fee. And the ultimate goal of territorial rights? Getting that original 30-pound refund. It's just this perfect picture of a huge, grand idea crashing into mundane, everyday reality. And that kind of brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? This whole insane journey from a tiny refund dispute all the way to founding a nation, it really makes you think. From the most powerful nations on Earth to the tiniest little micronations, they all exist because of a story. a declaration that a group of people agree to believe in. So what really is a country, if not just a shared story? Definitely something to chew on.